Welcome back to the Nerdrotic Podcast. My name is Gary Buechler. I'm coming to you live from San Francisco, California. I'm also from nerdrotic.com, and down south I have both of my beautiful co-hosts, Dennis Bithoulkas in San Diego and Jon Reed in Hollywood, California. Gentlemen, what is up?
Nothing really. How about you? How's things going?
Wow. Oh, the excitement. The excitement.
You know, Dennis he has resting disinterested face. Have you ever noticed that?
It's called resting bitch face.
Yeah.
It's just more like you bore me. You know, you just bore me all the time.
RDF.
Well, we are recapping to the best of our ability Inhumans, the complete season. Thank God it's complete and it won't go further. Episode. I do like the episode names. I could start out with a positive. Make Way for Medusa, the little Kirby-esque early Marvel title, but there's a couple more good things I like. I don't know, guys.
Yeah. Okay, so here's the thing. Here's what I'm going to say about this episode of the show. It's funnier than the last few episodes of the show. Like, I feel like they took a distinct like right hand turn away from like, hey, we're like a superhero action show to like, okay, we're gonna be a bit of more of a comedy.
Is that what this is supposed to be, a superhero action show? Because
I think originally that's maybe where they were going. But this is a lot more along the, especially with the scientist Felicity Smoke is definitely brings a bit of a comedic edge, especially with her like oddball pairing with Medusa, like the overly serious Medusa. So, you know, I felt like this episode was at least a little bit funnier. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it's definitely a little bit quippier.
I don't think it was supposed to be that funny. I was laughing my ass off, but not in parts. It was maybe, you know, they're in on the joke because this whole thing is a joke. I mean, this is, like we said, it's corporate politics being played out on network television, costing millions of dollars that could have gone to something much better. Like, I don't know, helping rebuild a community that's burning down right now, very close to me. Excuse me if I'm coughing a lot. There is a lot of smoke up here. I'm in San Francisco and Napa is on fire currently. And yeah, I'm watching the episode and they've got the crawl underneath up here in the local channel, just of all the devastation and disaster.
Is it because everyone is watching the Inhumans and they decided to set their TVs on fire? So like
maybe.
the whole city's burning down.
Use it as an incendiary device. Yes, dude. I don't even know where to start with this. It is, I mean, we've got. Go for it. I mean, it's just, oh god,
this is everything that's wrong with TV. This whole series, honestly, it's I should say it's everything that's wrong with superhero TV. CW, granted, is melodrama and things like that, but at least they get some action in and they have some story to it. This just meandered all over the damn place this episode, and it was just boring. You could tell. I don't know if they just did all of this in one take, most of these scenes, because it seemed like they did one take, like, okay, let's wrap, let's go to lunch. You know, the food truck's getting cold, gotta go out there.
And, yeah, no, for sure.
And gotta hit the beach.
Yeah, I mean, they're honestly not spending any money on sets because, I mean, what was it? We had tents. Mainly it was tents, a hotel.
So like, let's just get into that part. The Karnak,
hey, the bud looks real.
Weed, yeah. The Karnak is a weed farmer storyline. Is super weird, right? Like, I didn't see that coming. I've never read that comic book, although I'm sure it could be told better in maybe. But I did not see, when we were talking about the Inhumans being on TV, the Karnak becomes a weed farmer storyline at the beginning of season 1 it's very unpredictable. They're going their own direction.
It's a joke. That is simply the most bizarre piece of storytelling I have seen out of superheroes. I mean, this is superhero lore at this point. For one, Karnak being consistently outsmarted by the wise weed farmer woman, which I don't know her name. I just call her Wise Weed Farmer Woman. She's a wise sage who is teaching him about love and feelings and how to cut the marijuana plant, and which are those are some bodacious buds. That was the sticky icky going on right there. Not a big fan of marijuana myself, but legalize it, whatever. But the biggest thing I noticed about Karnak is when they did their little skinny dipping scene is he's got like middle-aged dad bod. What the hell's going on there?
That's because he is middle-aged. I mean,
but dude, he's a superhero. I mean,
and he's Karnak. He sees the flaws in everything. You'd think he'd be working on.
Right? Like he sees the flaws in his little. I mean, sorry, man. Just like I'm not used to seeing that. Maybe it's a more progressive movement we're doing here. Oh,
and hippie farm girl's name is Jen.
Oh, Jen.
Jen. Okay. Well, she's just the wise weed farmer.
I'm so happy that I watched this show with Suzanne because she actually, I didn't understand the point of the Karnak storyline until she made the statement. She's like, oh, he doesn't see the flaws in her. And I was like, that's because his power is not working. And then I was like, oh, that's what they're doing here. Like, this is Karnak is like, because he hit his head, he's able to enjoy life because he's not seeing the flaws everywhere. And like, it's pretty obvious. I don't know why I didn't get it right away, but that's clearly where they're going with this story. It's just so poorly executed that it doesn't even matter what they're trying to do because Karnak is farming.
This is kind of like how most Cinemax porns play out too. They have the weed farm with the tents, and and I think that's kind of what they wanted to do at first. Someone was like, "No, let's make a porn. No, let's make a superhero show." And they're like, "Okay, well, we'll compromise. We'll do both."
Yeah, there's definitely a lot more sex than like in Agents of Shield, and man, the weed. I cannot get off that. That was so cringy. Logan was in here watching it with me, and he's like, this is the worst thing I've ever seen, and walked out. My 12-year-old son, like, when my 12-year-old son says that dialogue is horrible, Dad, I mean, come on. And like you said, Dennis, it was totally one take. I was like, man, these are decent actors we have here. Okay, yeah. I'm not going to bag on these. Especially, I don't know his name. The guy playing Karnak is a great actor.
Yes.
I was excited when he was playing Karnak. I was like, oh, that's like the one thing I was excited about.
You know who was the best actor in this entire episode?
Lockjaw?
Yeah, Lockjaw.
Lockjaw. Yeah. And maybe the dude who ran over Lockjaw. Pretty guy.
He was kind of like acting like he was in a different show altogether.
Yeah, like I think he was
CW.
I would rather watch a full hour of Felicity Smoke and Barry talking about their feelings in Star Labs in the hallway than this show. It's I don't even know how my brain. I don't know how we can continue recapping this. I know we've got that question on the Star Trek one, like, why are you guys even doing this? And with Star Trek, I feel it's like cathartic. I think where it's actually a little bit of therapy, free of charge, by the way. But with this one, I don't even know where to go with it. It's like, to make fun of it now, it seems kind of mean.
Yeah,
it does. I mean,
the thing is, with Star Trek, at least we have like people like talking to us, commenting, giving us feedback. We have a discussion going on with the people who are watching the videos, and like we're trying to cover as much of the superhero stuff as possible. And that's the answer: is that if they make it and it's superheroes and it's on TV or on a movie, we're going to try to cover it as best as we can, and that's our goal. With a show like Inhumans, though, there's nothing to really dig into. It's not really a superhero show. Like I can't. It's got superheroes in it, but it's not really made for us, and I can't really figure out who it is made for. And I think the goal is to continue to cover it till it goes away. But like, it is a struggle to try to have fun with this thing that is just so.
And they're still trying to. Now they're actually trying to have a concerted effort to make Maximus the bad guy again. And after 3 episodes of just making him look like he good reason, and now they're trying to say, okay, he's actually a bad guy because he's going to kill the Genetic Council. Well, the Genetic Council is still pretty much doing what they were doing when
it's like a eugenics council. It's like Nazis. He's like killing Nazis, essentially, is what he's doing. Maximus is clearly in the right here, guys. Like, I hate to say it, but the villain is the hero of this story.
Yeah, and we're not the only ones that are saying this. I'm seeing a lot more articles now popping up about, saying they've got this all wrong. That you're trying to make your bad guy look like a bad guy, but he's not. He's coming off as very, very good in what he's doing, because everyone else is being oppressed.
So I think what the point is, I think the point they're trying to make as it goes along is, and trust me, it's ham-handed, and I don't think they're going about it completely the right way. But I think what they're trying to say is, look, there's when something is bad, you're gonna look for a rebellion, but the type of rebellion is important, right? Like, you can't just say like, oh, things are bad, it can't get any worse, so let's just change it for whatever change is good change, right? And I think that's the point of the show, is that like Maximus is bringing about change to a bad system, and is it good change or is it bad? Like, where are we going to end up here, right? I think is where we're going. So like, he could make a bad situation worse. So I think that's somewhat what they're trying to do, is say like, not all change is good change, I think, is the moral of the Maximus.
I think you're reading more into this. I think what we're going to have is we're going to have his true intention, or his true plot, if you will suddenly pop up in like episode 8. Because I think this is only like 10 episodes, right?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, it's only 8 episodes. I think we're pretty clear on what his true plot is. He just wants to be an Inhuman, and and to be king. It's the Thor Loki thing. Even redoing that whole Thor Loki scene badly, and again, a waste of a great actor. But
great actor. I mean, it's.
I think he's really good. I loved him as
the guy who plays Black Bolt.
No, Maximus. The guy who plays Black Bolt.
Yeah, he's great.
Good actor too. He's just not doing a good job in this show.
Speaking of resting disinterested face, that's Black Bolt all over, man. Like, it's like, okay, can you just get that stupid look off his face? I'd buy it a little bit more if he just didn't look like such a numbskull when he's walking around.
No, I can't believe you're a king. And I know how it is in the comics, but I just look how it should play out on TV is there should be some form of communication. Okay. Like just him doing like with no communication at all. And I know Medusa is like the only one, but do you think he would have learned sign language or something? It's just, oh God, with all this crap, they could have at least given us a mask on Black Bolt. I mean, he's not even in his freaking costume. I mean, they're running around without powers and without costumes, and it's the freaking stupid hotel chase scene where she forgot her rocket and they're running back and there's all this tense music and it's just a couple of ladies rolling their luggage and getting back. It's like, oh my God, it was so bad. And then we saw like the big reveal was Medusa could jump 2 levels from a hotel. It's like, Christ. Oh, and the slowest cops. I mean, they are Hawaiian cops, everything's a little slower there, but yeah, the only good thing that's coming out of this is kind of making me want to go back to Hawaii again. I do miss it.
Hawaii is brilliant. I mean, we just got back from Oahu and I loved it, man. Like, I didn't see any giant dogs or, I don't know. And okay, can we talk a little bit about how they just left Mortis laying there at the end? Like they neutralized the threat and then they looked freaked out and then drove away while he's laying there on the ground as if they can't do anything else. And I'm really confused why they did that.
Black Bolt can end any of these fights anytime he wants.
Just whisper in the guy's ear and his brain explodes.
He can control his powers a little bit. So, especially step on his head or something. I mean, is he a family? It's clear Black Bolt wants to save everybody. And like he saves that one girl from the fire, but then they throw her immediately in a trunk. Which I don't know. And oh my God, it's now annoying Felicity Smoke. It's not just Felicity Smoke. That girl, can she make that face the entire episode? That cringy little whatever she's doing with her face. She's gonna pull something if she keeps doing that. I don't know, man.
And her name's Louise, by the way.
Louise. It's annoying Felicity Smoke. That's what I'm sticking with.
And can we talk about the really bad CGI flame fireball that came out of that?
That was great.
It was. I mean, that was like 70s bad. It was.
No,
It was
that was like the effects you get like on Saturday Night Live on a skit that they throw together in a night with After
Yeah.
Effects.
Okay, so it wasn't just me, right? Because I was looking at it, I was like, "What the hell was that?"
And you notice the establishing shot for Adelan is just the same one,
Yeah.
repeated
Yes.
over and over
It's the
again.
same angle. It's the same angle.
Same
Turds,
angle.
It's
Yeah.
like,
Oh.
Mhm.
meanwhile, back at the Hall of Justice.
And didn't you point out that it looks like Maximus is in a Hawaiian hotel? It looks like it.
That's so great.
So the only thing that looks like a superhero thing is when the Maximus scenes, when they're with the genetic council and they're in that room that, which looks, superhero-y a little bit.
I think it's IKEA.
Superhero IKEA.
That's great.
Oh man, I got to get those meatballs. They're really good there.
Yeah, dude.
The meatballs and the fries.
Mhm.
I was laughing out loud almost this whole episode. The Gorgon scene where he doesn't understand where he is, and the battle surfers are with
Battle
him.
surfers. That's
And
awesome.
they lost their friend
Yeah.
Lucky. Of course, the guy named Lucky dies.
Lucky.
Yeah, so-
Yeah, that was so cliche. I was like,
I know, dude. I'm like, oh my god,
really? His fucking name is Lucky?
and then to go back to the weed farmer girl. Okay, for one, like she's gonna automatically sleep with the stranger. And she doesn't think that's
Yeah.
going to cause tension. That there's already like probably some sort of weird love triangle, and she doesn't think it's going to cause tension and bring.
They didn't telegraph. They didn't telegraph this in the first, episode of the one guy with the gun who is talking about profits, that they need to make profits, that he's going to kill them all anyway and take all the profits for himself. We already saw this coming. I mean, it's been telegraphed, and she's just out there like, I think she's been smoking a lot of her own product. Is what's been going
that's
on.
probably it, and that's actually believable.
Yeah,
He is from New York, so that's why he is the way he is.
yeah.
It's a New York thing, obviously, that we don't understand here on the left coast. Oh, dude.
But what do you think we're gonna get next week? Where do you think this is going, guys?
Well, he does take a
This
mean
is
hole.
going straight to hell.
Yeah.
I think what did I sent you a little image of my head exploding from scanners.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if we can really I got better things to do with my time. And so do the good people out there to watch us bitch about this show. Where it's going, if Medusa can grow her hair back really fast, I don't know. I mean, the whole working with Dr. Deck, like, oh my God, in this thing that you could see that there actually could have been a show that worked.
Yeah.
That's what's crazy about this is
There's parts here and there.
There's parts here and there. All you have to do is give them their powers back, give them costumes, get them the hell out of Hawaii.
Bring them together, like all of them together.
Rework the entire plot with just Maximus just wants to be an Inhuman and be king. I would have left the whole slave, mining for the Terrigen crystal thing out. It just it puts a big monkey wrench in the whole plot, and it makes it so if you basically just kept the actors and changed everything else, you might have had a good show. I don't know, but it sucks because there is a good story with the Inhumans, and it's such a waste. Trying to make them the mutants of Marvel was a big mistake, and I don't even think the powers that be, or some of the powers that be at Disney and Marvel, gave a crap. And it's this fooling around with stuff to where I know the movies are all rock solid now, but this is actually damaging. This is damaging to the brand. I wouldn't even have released this. I don't know, guys. I mean, I see people out there recapping it, and they're actually kind of liking it, and good for them. That's rad. No judging there. But I like some crap too. I think Con Air is some of the finest piece of cinema ever made. But I just don't. This is really damaging to the brand, and they can take it now, but if like, so for some reason Thor's a flop, which I doubt it will be, or if they get back-to-back flops, things could start going downhill.
Yeah, but the TV has never really been that
strong.
I mean, I know
No,
that there are
you're right.
people who are fans of Agents. You know, there's fans of all this stuff out there. But as far as I'm concerned, all of these shows could have been stronger. Like, even if you look conceptually at what each of these shows is, they could all have been a little bit better than they are. Inhumans, I think, could be a lot better than it is. So it's one of those things where the TV has never, like, it's almost like they have no reputation on the TV front right now because they haven't really gotten a huge win on ABC to where, like, they need to find that show for them. They need, like, Arrow was a pretty decent show, and then I think Flash was a big thing for the CW, that they were able to form a nucleus for like a whole universe around on the CW. And ABC has never, they've got so many properties they could use to try to form that nucleus, but they just haven't done it. And it's almost like they don't really care to do it. They're going to throw some of these like mediocre to bad shows out there, capitalize on like a strong premiere, and get those advertising money for that new Marvel show, and then they'll just release a new one the next year. You know, I don't think that they really have a lot of I don't think they have a lot of interest in making what, you know, Warner has done with CW.
With the news
right
that
now.
came out today with ABC doing layoffs and then possibly going up for sale, you know, Disney putting ABC up for sale, which honestly they should put ESPN up for sale, because from what I understand,
nobody will buy it. It's a loser.
Well, I know it's been dragging them down. I mean, they should
A
just
lot.
cut production on it.
No, I think I heard rumors of ESPN going just
Digital.
Yeah, that's smart.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah, with dude, Dennis and I talked about this 2 years ago. If look back in our podcast history, we did 2 podcasts, which is Star Wars versus Marvel, part 1 and 2. And in that podcast, we discussed kind of like Disney when it bought the Anaheim Ducks and the Anaheim Angels. And this is just like it. And they bought 2 sports teams. They got in the sports arena. They bought the stadiums. And it did well in the very beginning, and they ended up selling both of those things.
Yep.
And that could definitely happen to Marvel. Now, Star Wars and Marvel, what John has brought up just in the recent past is Star Wars is cheaper to make than Marvel is. And these are 2 very expensive brands to produce. And if either of them start sputtering at any point in time, I mean, do not be surprised if Disney sells part of Marvel or pieces of Marvel or outright someday. I'm not saying anytime soon. I know it sounds crazy, though, but it could happen.
I mean, I don't think it sounds crazy as far as like a long-term like outlook for things, but right now they're in the process of trying to buy up more to add to the Marvel brand, like the deal they did with Spider-Man, like the deals that they're trying to put together for Fantastic Four and X-Men characters, these partnerships with Fox and Sony, those types of things are showing more buy-in, not less, right? So as far as right now is concerned, I don't see them I see them trying to maybe do things internally to make it cheaper to make, you know, and trying to say like, hey, look, Star Wars is the model. Let's try to conform Marvel to the Star Wars model and trying to do stuff like that. But I don't see them freaking out until they start. Like they're losing all their money from ESPN. Marvel and Star Wars are the things that are keeping them, afloat. So I think, I'm not too worried about that right now. I'm more worried in the creative. Like they've segmented things off so much that the people that are having so much success on the movie side have no impact on what's happening on the TV side. So like they get Drew Goddard to get the dude from Spartacus, the guy who's kind of helmed the Defenders and stuff. Yeah, Stephen DeKnight. You've got those guys working on the Marvel Netflix stuff, and you've got like Josh Schwartz from the OC and stuff, helming whatever they're doing over on Hulu. They've got all these different creative forces in different places, and so that's why we're seeing such a completely different quality measure on the TV side, on the streaming side, and on the movie side. And until they figure out a way to combine that, it's just like we have, and in the comic side, until they combine the creative and figure out some sort of mission statement, we're just going to have to be aware that the Marvel that is in the movies is not the Marvel that's in the TV. The Marvel that's on Hulu is not the Marvel that's on ABC. The Marvel from the comics has nothing to do with the Marvel that's in movies. And that's just how they're running this thing. So they've got the strongest brand as far as the Marvel movies are concerned, and the weakest brand as far as the Marvel TV is concerned. So, I think that's just how we have to look at it. I don't have a lot of hope that ABC is going to have a good show. I'm just hoping that, these other areas are good. And Hulu, from what I've heard, Runaways is supposed to be pretty great. Like the first couple episodes of Runaways is pretty great. So I'm looking forward to that right now. And The Gifted, like we've got Fox doing The Gifted over on, on their network. And that feels much more like what you want from a Marvel TV show anyway. So I don't know. I'm happy that we have all that. I don't have any hope that ABC is going to get it together.
I don't think so either. And I think network TV, I'm okay never recapping anything on the alphabet networks, on the big ones. I think they are a dying product. And I think there is a little bit of panic, not within the Marvel brand, but within network television and in feature films, because the numbers have gone down so dramatically. Now there's a ton of reasons, and we all know what the reasons are. It's more the stuff is moving. It's not like it's leaving, but it's those, that's the old guard now. It's not like there's going to be no gatekeepers. There's just going to be new ones. They're taking over. And, we've got the fall of Harvey Weinstein going on right now. And that's got a bunch of collateral damage going on with that. Excuse me. And, that's going to have a lot of blowback too. Now with Freeform in particular, I heard that is not doing very well. They're starting all these shows and they're banking on them heavily, because when they changed brand, their ratings actually went down. So, and their ratings have been sliding down a little bit, although everybody's has. That's not anything new, and that's right, because of unplugging. So I don't know if I still don't know the answer to the question of all the stuff that's on Netflix. Is that going to go to that Disney store? I mean, why start a show on Hulu when you're starting your own digital network? I don't get.
Supposedly they're going to have season 2 of Luke Cage, season 2 of Jessica Jones, season 2 of Iron Fist on Netflix. And then I think once that's done, it all shifts over to the Disney streaming.
So yeah, I think the answer is they didn't know that they were going to do. So some behind the scenes stuff. Disney did not. This is a new thing. It happened very quickly. Disney built an internal kind of streaming delivery platform, encoding streaming delivery platform to do their pay-per-view stuff, to build like a, an on-demand kind of a service. And once they built that pipeline, they were like, oh, we can leverage this. And then I think internally they decided to leverage that and start their own streaming thing. So all of these licensing deals that were in place before that, they're now going to have to get out of after the deal is over. But I don't think that this was like a long-term strategy. I think it was like, oh, we have the technology now. Let's start migrating stuff over to our side once these things start expiring. I don't think it's the smartest move in the world, but I think that that's what's happening.
Yeah, and I think with CBS All Access right now, sure, they had a whole bunch of people sign up initially for Star Trek Discovery, but I don't know yet, but I'm pretty sure there's going to be a huge drop off after this.
Yeah, but with a lot of these, when I was working at Netflix, one of the things they always talked about is there's this huge, once people sign up, they forget, and they don't cancel it. Yeah. And they bet on people to just forget. So they know that there'll be a drop off, but between the fact that All Access is where you get all your Big Brother reality stuff, it has all the past episodes of Star Trek and other things. I think people tend to sign up and then just stick with it because it's easier to stick with it than to go through the canceling process. And I think that that's what they're betting on for this. So I honestly think that they've actually been very smart about how they've dealt with the All Access rollout, because most streaming platforms don't get as much press as I think CBS did with the Big Brother and then the Star Trek rollouts that they did. I think that they're probably the model for how these other companies should be doing it.
In theory, I agree with you, but when it comes to the product, they weren't smart. Their marketing was dumb with that. All you did was anger people. There's better ways to do it. Like now, Watch now. Would Disney create a Star Wars TV show to roll out their digital network? I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Well,
And
you got to remember, Lucas shot
yeah,
a
not
TV
shot,
show.
not shot. Wrote.
No, there's stuff in the can already. There's
There's maybe effects, but they didn't have actors or anything. They didn't sign anybody up. Not that I saw.
From what I understand, there's actually episodes that are done, and they own those when they bought the Star Wars rights, so they could potentially build off of that.
I know there was 5 seasons worth of episodes. I don't know if it was full 20 episode seasons or 10 episode seasons, but that was that's why everybody balked on it, because he made everybody sign that they had to stick with it for 5 seasons. And nobody would sign off on that. So I know they had written up shit. Ronald D. Moore wrote a bunch of those episodes. I would love to see those, man. I would freaking love to see those, but I don't know, man. With the Inhumans on ABC is such it's unwatchable. I mean I don't even think I can continue. I mean, I'm sorry, but I mean, I might give it another go next week. I mean, fortunately, I don't have a life, and it's just, we kind of kick it at home Friday night. So
yeah, I think there's only a couple more episodes left for the season. I've seen, I don't know if it's 6 or 8. I've kind of read both. Maybe they're truncating it. I don't know what's happening, but yeah, we've only got a few more episodes left. We'll stick with it, and then we'll see how this does and go from there. But
I do like Mortis. I actually like Mortis. I don't know what I like about Mortis.
They need to lean into like the funny shit.
Because Mortis kind of strolls in, kind of like he doesn't give a shit.
Yeah,
and he's
I think
like,
Mortis is
what?
the audience. Mortis represents the audience.
Like, you need to get this shit over with now.
That's so bad, dude. Yeah, it's interesting to see this play out, because they're making all the mistakes that Marvel made before they bought them, which is selling off your properties to a bunch of people, and you're spreading it out, and then you can't get them back, and then you bitch when you can't get them back, and they could get them back. There is probably some kind of price tag, like, yeah, you can buy your shit back for this much money. They're just refusing to pay it at this point in time.
I don't know. I think once you have one of those licensing deals, you have that license. I think it would be very
I mean, it's hard to get out, but I tell you what, they're already regretting partnering up with Sony. I'm telling you that right now. Just
for Spider-Man?
With Spider-Man, yeah. Because Sony's like pulled so much crap with them just since they've signed the deal with the whole whatever this Venom movie is. It's the weirdest thing ever.
Yeah.
It's just weird. And then before they wanted to do an Aunt May prequel, they were
no, that's
going to do an Aunt May prequel, which was based on I forgot the name of that comic. Dennis, what was the name of that comic with the young Aunt May and Gwen Stacy?
Oh, I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, that came out.
Yeah, I don't know. You have to think, though, with all this stuff, it's the execution, right? Like when you talk about the Inhumans or something like, and I'm not comparing the two, because trust me, I liked Spider-Man Homecoming a lot more than I like the Inhumans. But when you talk about something like in theory, it's like, oh, that's kind of interesting. And then it's all about how it's executed. So like you can tell that like the Inhumans getting stripped of their power, or like Medusa getting stripped of her powers, and the Inhumans hanging out in Hawaii sounds like a terrible idea. I bet somebody could have done it in a cool way. This is not the show we have. You could talk about like a John Hughes version of Spider-Man, and like that could be really interesting. And I think that Homecoming kind of half did that. It could have gone more, it could have leaned in more in that direction and been a better movie. And so like it's all about how they execute this stuff. You could probably do an Aunt May movie and have it be pretty cool. But how much hope do we have that Sony understands the character enough to do something like that? I would think that a writer could do it a lot. A comic book writer could do it much better than like a big movie production.
That's true. I mean, their best TV show was Agent Carter on the network.
Yeah.
And they canceled it.
Yeah,
and
well, because no one was watching
their best TV show.
Yeah, because nobody was watching. It was not.
No, you're right. You got to watch it. That's part of it.
I was watching it because it was good, but
it was okay. Again, all of this stuff is like okay, like it's okay to bad. Like they haven't on ABC. They have not had that like even like standout like episode of something that was like that is that is what I watch TV for. You know, there's no red wedding happening on these shows. There's nothing that's buzz in the air or anything like that. There's no water cooler moment. So like when the Flash goes back in time, because to try to save his mom from dying when he's a little kid, like those moments, like they stand out in these young shows. And I don't feel like ABC, Disney has done a great job of capturing those types of moments.
Well, I think the networks just need to get a little braver. They're competing with these cable networks now with FX and HBO and stuff like that. And I know they because it's technically free TV, you need to go a little lighter. But I disagree. I think you need to get way more sophisticated with your storytelling, or you're going to die because you're competing against American guys. Mr. Robot. You see a Mr. Robot and you watch Inhumans. Wow.
Like, do I live in the same planet? Yeah, exactly.
Right.
They have done this. I mean, CBS did Person of Interest, which, believe it or not, is a really good. It's a good sci-fi show, and 5 seasons of that, so it wasn't bad. They can do some good stuff. It's just, I agree with you. They need to actually step out of their comfort zone a little bit more and try some stuff.
And I mean specifically Marvel ABC. Like, I'm not talking about ABC can't make a good TV show. Like, I mean, I don't think they've got a ton of them, but like some people like Once Upon a Time, people like different things on ABC, and there's different quality there. And like you said, Person of Interest is good. There's Alias, I think, was on ABC at one point. But as far as like Marvel on ABC, they've had 3 swings, and they've had like a double and a walk and a strikeout, and that's where we're at now. And they need the home run. Yeah, that was a very different.
If Fox can pull off the X-Files back in the 90s, I mean, just get to that level. You don't even have to get to today's level. Just get to that level with your superhero shows. And that's what I'm talking about, superhero shows. I'm not talking about, whatever else is on the network. That stuff works fine. But with superhero stuff, with the movies and TV, we, and especially genre fans, we expect more sophisticated storytelling, something that's at least more sophisticated than the comic book, which is not happening clearly with the show. So I don't know. This thing was a joke to begin with. It was never meant to succeed.
No.
And
Karnak is a pot dealer. I mean, is a pot grower. Like, this isn't real, guys. This is all. I wouldn't be surprised if this show were just a figment of our imaginations. Like, this doesn't actually exist. Nobody would actually try to put this stuff on TV and hope that it was going to succeed. Yeah, nobody thought this was going to be good.
Let's run this down. So Karnak is a pot farmer, having sex out in tents.
Mm-hmm.
Gorgon is running around with militant surfers with machine guns.
Lucky died
in the jungle. Yeah, and a guy named Lucky died. And then what else we have? Medusa is basically trying to find her husband and eating sliders at
we've got an oddball buddy cop on the run, movie going on in the corner with a depowered Medusa and her like scientist friend.
And Crystal's out on the farm with her injured dog because they don't have enough money for the CGI.
Yeah. Meanwhile, does everyone know a vet? Like, in all these TV shows, an animal gets hurt and they're like, "Oh, I'll call my friend the vet." Like, I don't have a friend the vet. Do you guys have a friend of the vet?
People that have farms, they do know vets because they have vets coming out all the time for their cows.
That's just lucky that the dog got run over by a farmer. Like, I don't know.
We saw where Lucky's luck went.
Yeah, Lucky's
went to Lockjaw.
Yeah.
And he was only 2 days from retirement too.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, I was 2 days from retirement. Totally getting too old for this shit. Poor Lucky. So we go down to Gorgon. Yeah, Gorgon's lost. Black Bolt's been sitting in rooms a lot, and they sent his poor Hawaiian friend. He always sends him off running. It's like that's the most running that guy's done since he was 10. That poor guy. Yeah.
Oh, what do you guys make of Maximus working with Dr. what's his name?
Mr. Westworld? Dr. Westworld.
What do you think of that? That was a plot twist. I didn't see that coming.
Well, no, he even said at the end
Oh
there,
no,
he goes,
that was Dr. Lost. Sorry, not Dr. Westworld.
Doctor.
That was the
he
genetic.
says,
That was genetic counselor.
when he asks him, he says, "Can you forgive me?" And Maximus says, "Forgiveness is overrated."
No, the
Which-
other guy.
Dr. Declan.
Dr.
We're talking
Oh,
Declan.
about
Dr. Declan. Oh, okay, Dr. Declan.
Yeah, at the beginning of the episode, we find out that Maxim, like, he's got Black Bolt, and he's like, "Hey, Max, I got your buddy, but I need to keep him alive because the genetics change, and he might be the key to giving you powers." And so he's like, "Okay, we'll have to keep him alive then." Like, and he tells his, Mortis to keep an eye on him, even though he's in a mask.
Yeah.
What do we think about that?
How is Maximus getting to Earth and
Yeah,
forming
obviously
this
he's got
relationship?
funding, he's got money. Why doesn't Maximus just leave and go to Hawaii?
And he can get Terrigen crystals anywhere down there and get his powers back. And
Because Maximus wants to be king. It's like the Lion King, but with Maximus.
Okay,
It's,
am I also maybe I didn't understand this? They don't put him through again just in case their powers don't work. They don't like give it a second try to go through the Terrigen mist or whatever.
remember, if you're
do
human,
it once because it's an abomination or something like that, or
no, if you're human, it does one of two things. If you don't have the gene in you, the Inhuman gene, then you don't change. You actually die.
well,
That's
so
what-
his Inhuman power was making him human.
Yeah.
exactly.
So now he's human. So if he
So-
goes through the Terrigen mist again, he dies. Supposedly,
He either dies or he gets a power. He doesn't. They don't know. These
No, 'cause he
eugenicists,
doesn't-
they don't know.
he doesn't have the gene anymore. The gene is supposedly the Inhuman gene is wiped out. They said you're no longer Inhuman. You're just human now.
Gotcha.
But somehow he got all this funding and set up an operation in Hawaii, found a doctor on the Craigslist or something like that. Like, how did he do this? I don't understand. And I didn't think they went back and forth that much. How do they get back? Oh, just lockjaw, right? That's how
They've
get back
got the
in Hawaii?
rock dude who can transport
the
through
walk
rocks.
wall.
Oh, that rock. Okay, that guy, right? Yeah, I forgot about that guy. The rock guy.
The water feature can transport them to Hawaii.
What actual part of his body are you walking through?
Yeah,
His-
that was one of the things that was kind of
He says it hurts
up.
him.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does look like painful.
It does look painful. That would suck. How did that go down in the Terrigen mist when he's sitting there and all of a sudden he's just a wall? And did he fixate himself right there, or did they have to get like drywallers out? And
I bet he turned into like a rock dude and then walked over to a wall and like sunk into the wall.
that scene in my head. I want to see that.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Have a
Show us
flashback
that
of
in here.
Oh my god.
and
They
the
could
use
have
of
so much fun
flashbacks.
with the show, dude. They could
I
have
know.
so much fun with this show with powers like that, and they just
the useless flashbacks too. The one where they have Medusa, and
yeah.
your parents were traitors. That's why they've been banned. And they
Yeah,
flashback
that's
again.
The actors, the flashback actors are pretty bad.
Yeah, I want them to just have a flashback of someone going back and they're like, this is decaf, and you just flash back again.
that would have made more sense than that one.
Yeah,
So okay, yeah, it was just
Yeah, they got to lean into the funny for sure.
they really do. I mean, but again, it's I don't know. To
Absurd.
even come out and it's absurd to come out and even give this shit feels kind of lame.
Yeah.
I mean, just like I don't know, man.
So check us out on YouTube. It's the Nerdrotic channel on YouTube. Hit subscribe. Thanks for everyone who's been subscribing. We're up to 530 subscribers at this point.
533.
You can also hear us audio only in the
534.
iTunes
Sorry,
app.
just got one.
Oh, that's awesome. The iTunes podcast app or on SoundCloud. So that's the podcast stuff. You can follow us on Twitter at Nerdrotics. That's with an S on the end. I'm Jon Reed 16. Dennis is at DaForce, DaForce. We're going to be covering Star Trek Discovery. Hi, Gary. We're going to be covering.
Look at who our new subscriber is. Solaris. Thank you for subscribing. Sorry. Did I look like
That was hilarious.
we are going to be doing Star Trek Discovery. Yes.
The Gifted.
The Gifted.
Mr. Robot. Yep. And at some point, we'll get you a CW superhero roundup where we talk about all the CW shows on Facebook. It's running a little late tonight, and I'm driving to Reno tomorrow, but we'll attempt to get that out before the shows start up again next week. So keep an eye out for all of that. We'll also be giving you our impressions of the Orville when we talk about Star Trek at the end of the Star Trek episode, because that show's actually been pretty great. I really liked this past episode a lot. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Hopefully we get some Riverdale discussion as well. So let us know if that's something you guys would be down for. Yeah.
That's it, man.
Inhumans. I mean, look, if we're not back here next Friday, it's not a big question mark why, but we'll try to stick with this thing till at least the end of this season, and we'll have fun with it. Let us know what you guys think of the show. If you have any feedback or comments about the Inhumans, anything you want us to address, maybe like what, if you do like the Inhumans, what reading we would recommend, stuff like that, please just let us know in the comments for this video. We'll take a look, maybe try to give us some more than just this awful show to talk about next week if you have any input.
I kind of feel like Slim Pickens at the end of Doctor Strangelove with, the bomb being
Yes.
the Inhumans show.
Yep, it'll be fun when we've got like Runaways to talk about. Punisher is going to be out later, so we've got some like bingeable shows that we'll be talking about later in the winter, and then next year we'll have the Freeform stuff starting up, and we'll get a lot more interesting stuff than just Inhumans and I'm really enjoying The Gifted. I thought it was going to be more than just 10 episodes, so I'm kind of bummed out that we're only getting like a half season of The Gifted, but we're really digging that. So if you're not already, please check out that recap that we're doing. It's a show that I think all three of us are at least enjoying.
Are we getting 10 episodes like that's it, or are we getting like, is it a split season?
I think from what I understand, they've only produced 10 episodes. I don't think we're going to get a split season. They might like pick it up last minute and do something in the back end, but I don't see that.
I think it's just 10 episodes. Yeah.
So is it done?
No. They're probably going to pick it up. They're waiting to see what the ratings are on it.
Yeah.
Well, they know what the ratings are. They're in. I mean, they were pretty decent. They got like 9 million viewers on its first night. But yeah, that's weird. I thought it was getting a full compliment. Oh, well.
No, hopefully next season we get that. But yeah.
Well,
anyway, we got a lot of stuff.
What's up with the big breaks with TV shows now? I mean, is that going to be a thing now with Westworld? It's going to be like 2 years between shows. And yeah, that's weird.
I know they're doing like these little seasons where like The Gifted will air at a certain time period this for the winter, and then in the spring a different show will have that time slot. So it's like they're doing more shows and less episodes on all the networks, and I feel like that works really well for cable TV. But like a show like The Gifted, I'd like to see that get a full like Flash style season. I'd like to see more story in there, because it's going to have some filler episodes, and if it's going to have filler, I'd rather have a longer season, right? So I don't know.
Right.
That's how I feel.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Any final words?
Don't let the door hit your ass on the way out, America.
May the small folks sing songs of your greatness.
Awesome. Bye, everybody. See you next week, hopefully.
Good night.
Maybe. if